So good morning. A different environment today, something a bit more relaxed. And I felt this was important because we're going to talk about business. And you don't want to talk about business sitting in an office environment, it's boring. You want to talk about business on a farm, relaxed. And I did promise I would fill you in with some of the stuff that we didn't quite get through because we had a grueling evening yesterday where we spent an hour and a half looking at lots and lots of different business expressions. And once again, my warm-up was very long. It took an hour and 15 minutes, I think. So we didn't get through the conversation part of the lesson. So I have one of the little sheets in front of me, which I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through some of the questions on this sheet just to make sure that you know all the expressions. Starts off quite easy. When did you last cut back on something? Of course you can cut back on things. You can cut back on food, it's basically all to do with reducing. You cut back on your spending. That's what you mainly cut back on in life. And of course companies cut back on spending as well when things get a bit tougher, as they are at the moment, which is why we were talking about the credit crunch and things like that, when things are more difficult for us at the moment. Good question, which Gosha answered beautifully. How and why do companies cut corners? Now, cutting corners is a lot about reducing the quality of something, reducing the cost of something by reducing the quality because you've reduced the cost of something. And this can be explained really well if you go to a brand new restaurant that's just opened and the food is divine and it's incredible, and you go back there time and time again and slowly you notice, and I'm sure it's not the same for all restaurants, but sometimes you notice that the quality of the food goes down. They buy cheaper products, the wine isn't quite the same, the chicken or the meat hasn't quite got that same tender feel as it did, whatever. So basically, companies cut corners to save money, and of course that reduces the quality. Have you ever drawn up a contract? A lovely term, to draw up something. Obviously drawn is the past participle of to draw, and this means basically just to write up a contract. A task normally given to the administrator. You know, the salesperson will have received the deal, they've got the deal, and they say to the administrator, okay, draw up the contract and have it on my desk by Monday morning so I can look at it, get it sent out to the customer. What do you need to do to get a company off the ground? Some very mixed answers here. Basically, to get a company off the ground is to get a company started, off the ground. How do you stop a company from going belly up? Belly up, what a wonderful expression. I remember when I was a child and I used to watch cartoons. And in the cartoon you'd have an animal walking along and it'd eat something and it would die from something, and you suddenly see it flip onto its belly like this and it dies. And so the belly goes up in the air and the company dies. How do you stop a company from dying? Well, you have to produce good quality stuff all the time. Interesting demonstration of how quickly the weather changes in the UK. We're going to have to be very fast now. I think it's going to rain in a minute. So when was the last time you got a break? To get a break means something great happens and you weren't expecting. You know, you've been trying to get a job and you keep getting rejected, and all of a sudden you get the break and you get the job. Okay, got that break. Do you ever get fed up with red tape? Javier absolutely came up with a beautiful word: bureaucracy. Try to get something done, you try to do the best you can for the company, but there's always company politics and bureaucracy getting in your way. If you imagine trying to get through a doorway that's been taped up, and you walk in, try to walk through the door, you walk straight into the tape and you're covered in tape and you can't get through, and that's what it's like. I'm so glad I'm not there anymore. Why do things sell like hotcakes? We never got to this part of the lesson. Imagine, take a cake out of the oven, it's really hot, and think that's when it's the most delicious. You really want to eat it fast. And when things sell like hotcakes, they sell quickly. When the cake goes cold, it's not as appealing as when the cake is hot out of the oven and fresh, tender, and all those sort of wonderful things about cakes. And the final question on this sheet, what things can either nosedive or skyrocket? Skyrocket means to do well, go up, and nosedive means to come down and do really badly. Nosedive is an expression used for aeroplanes when they come down and they hit the ground, they crash. So it's when things go really badly. I hear a plane above my head. Unfortunately, I've only got one of these sheets. The other one is at home. So this is almost like it's just half of a lesson that we did yesterday, which we didn't get through. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.